Welcome to Sam Outside. I'm Sam and I'm outside. I'm outside because, well, this is where I find my calm. I'm outside because this is where it's where I do my thinking. I'm outside because this is where I get to spend time with Mr. Indiana Bones. Yeah. I go outside because this is where I can find those opportunities for focus. That's right. So there are so many aspects of my day where the requirement for problem solving and scheduling and just trying to be in front of and on top of you know, different situations in the workplace, different situations in the home, different situations in life. Try to stay ahead of it so I can plan accordingly and be the best version of myself for those people who I'm responsible for. But out here, that guy's pretty good at taking care of himself. I'm just I'm just the guide. I just provide the opportunity, which is really at the core of my guiding philosophy when it comes to forest therapy. All right. He's out here doing his own things, being the best version of himself. But wouldn't be able to get to do it, being the best version of himself, unless I opened the door, took him outside. So I started thinking about that in terms of why I do that for Mr. Indiana Bones. And I start to think about why I do it for people I invite to participate in a guided forest therapy walk. I start to think about why I do it for myself. So being outside, right? It's where life is, right? That's where we get to be calm, participate, be active. We get to be all things natural, right? We get to smell and listen, notice, feel, observe, learn, grow, heal. We get to do all those things in nature, but first and foremost, can we do all those things inside? Absolutely. They're very different. The act of doing those things indoors involves a lot more very human, very processed, very artificial. I mean, they're real, but they're not natural. There's a slight difference. And so the negative effects that accumulate and compound over time, we're not just talking minutes and hours, but over days and weeks and months and years, they start to have a negative effect. So I go outside as much as I can, as often as I can, as long as I can, as long as I'm safe, comfortable. I do it because it's a reset. I do it because I feel better for it. I encourage others to do it. So I choose to do it for a living, not only professionally, but on the side as well, if you were, as a sole proprietor of a private business. Yeah, and I find myself really contemplating why more of us can't do it and why we have to strongly advocate and make it easier, more or less having to convince people that it's so needed, right? It's an absolute must. And that brings me to the awareness of, right, what am I noticing in myself? Where's the proof? Well, I know first and foremost when I don't get to do it, yeah, I feel it, right? I do miss it, and it does affect my physical, mental, and emotional well-being, and that changes the course of how that day or the next day goes in terms of my ability to focus, maybe the quality of my sleep, maybe the efficiency with which I navigate decisions and actions. So whether it's 5 minutes, 20 minutes, an hour, right? It's what I need to do to sort of press that reset button, right? So getting active, yeah, I could walk in a treadmill, right? I could take the stairs instead of taking an elevator. But there's just something different about being active outdoors, right? There's a number of studies out there that say that just doing physical activity outdoors increases the benefits of the effectiveness on the human body, on the human brain, on our emotional state, increases the effectiveness by 20%. So taking that walk outside, better than putting the same number of steps, same amount of intensity as doing it indoors. Some of that has to do with the access of fresh air. Some of that has to do with availability of daylight, but a lot of it has to do with just the way your body responds to being outside in nature, right? Hormones, chemicals, internal processes that happen through how we view the natural world and how that affects our well-being, affects our body through our mind, through our heart, right? So I go outside because all those things that I could do inside and I sometimes need to do inside, they're just better for me and they're more effective when I do it outside. So try and encourage myself because that takes some effort. Try and encourage members of my family, and I try and encourage people I work with to do the same thing, right? Yeah, and sometimes it's, conditions are not safe. They're not optimal for comfort, and I can't begin to engage. I can't begin to invite others to participate and be the best version of themselves if they're not comfortable, right? So, yeah, let's take care of that first. And that might mean some considerations about the amount of time, amount of exposure, maybe the intensity, or maybe even the focus, right? So the intention might have to be different, but it starts by going outside. Give it a try, right? So make sure you're safe, make sure you're prepared, try to be as comfortable as possible, and then try and spend as much time as possible and just breathe, just move, just think, find some gratitude. Yeah, it's always changing. So should we. All right. Thanks for watching. Please go outside. So good for you. I appreciate your time. Thanks. Bye-bye.